What are some poor mindsets guys have that prevent them from making progress in game, the inner game stuff?
Well, I can start with this one. One of the most important thing in order to be good at conversation is the mindset and behaviors. And what I noticed that can make a huge difference in most guys' approach to women is the shift attention method, is to be curious. Because so many guys are so self-centered when they're going up and going to talk with the girl. So when they're going up, they're like, oh, how can I make her like me? What should I ask about? And they just go randomly talk with her with a lots of self-consciousness. If they can make a conscious decision to shift their attention towards the other person fully, towards the girl, everything can change. That is like how we can actually implement the right behaviors that support that mindset. So I think that one of the main thing is curiosity and the shift attention method to give the other person your undivided attention. Specifically for guys that they haven't approached women at all. They are like really new to this.
Um, I got one for you. This is a big one that I have is guys who think that there's a certain way to attract good girls and a certain way to attract bad girls. Like that, like Megan, like again, when you look at Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox, like Megan Fox is who everyone wanted and she chose the bad boy. There's no good guy game and bad guy game. It's like the if you guys have ever met a male stripper and you ask him just like, dude, you've been with like hundreds of women, are all of them whores who have like a 90 body count? And they're like, no, dude, most of the girls I sleep with are like 2 3 body count. Like they're good girls. The mechanisms to get good girls are the same mechanisms to get bad girls. This is a real hard, guys have a hard time with this because they'll see my program and they'll see girls that are like models with huge fake tits and they're like, oh no, Michael, that's not the type of girl I want. I'm like, bro, nobody finds you attractive. No girl finds you attractive. Like you're sitting there worried about good girls or bad girls. No girls find you attractive, bro. You don't need to worry about good girl game or bad girl game. You need to worry about game. Your prime objective, like my buddy Ryan Teraband says, your prime directive through your life as a man is to be attractive. To be attractive when you meet the girl and to be attractive through the entire relationship. That's your prime directive. And so when you understand that, like guys make that mistake and they'll come to me. And again, it's like I'll have clients that come from very like I have Eastern European clients, some of my Asian clients, they come from very structured upbringings at home where they're told where to go to school, what kind of job to get. They're told what kind of woman that they're supposed to date, and they believe that there's good girls and bad girls. There's no good girls and bad girls. They're all a function of stimulus. It's all women are Homo sapiens. They function. They have the same firmware from their evolutionary psychology. Now, some of them have dealt with certain different stimulus, like abuse or sexual assault and stuff like that, which has caused them to become more or less promiscuous. I agree with that, but attraction triggers are ubiquitous. Okay, they are. Look, all you guys, I'm just assuming you guys are all heterosexual. Your heterosexuality, your desire to want to fuck women, nobody taught you that. You know your maleness is based in your desire for the opposite sex. No one can teach. No matter how many images I show you, it's not going to make you gay. You are straight because genetics made you straight. Well, it's the same kind of situation with women and their attraction triggers. Their attraction triggers are the same whether or not they grew up in India, they grew up in China, whatever. Attraction triggers are the same. Women are interested in man's status, his his ability to procure resources, his charisma, his where he sits in the social hierarchy, pre-selection, all these things. They're ubiquitous. There's not good guy girl. There's not good girl game and bad girl game. There's only game. There's not good guy attraction and bad guy attraction. There's only attraction. There's not good guy status and bad guy status. There's only status. Status is status is status. And that's probably the number one limiting belief that I have to deal with my clients.
Yeah, to echo that quickly, and I'll let Eric go then, it's just this big dick energy idea that a lot of the girls that I get with, when I ask them, like, what is it? Like you said, you would never date a bald guy, or you would never go out with a guy this much shorter than you, or a poor guy or whatever. You know, a lot of the times what they'll say is it was big dick energy, just straight up. And it's like, you can't just like falsify that, but there's something to having an edge to you that can kind of create that sort of attraction there. But anyway, Eric, I'd love to hear what you had to say.
I was going to say mindsets that prevent them from making progress. So I found there are two types of guys. One guy that thinks that game is easy and he can just learn a few things and latch onto an idea, transform his love life. And then the other is the guy that thinks that it's so difficult and it's such a steep climb that it's not worth getting into, that he needs to just sort of find someone that's right for him and kind of just get in and get out of the game real quick. And I'm not opposed to the guy that goes out there, meets the love of his life, and doesn't feel the need to gain proficiency. But this game is very, very challenging. It's a very, very difficult game, and it takes, in my opinion, a long time to get good. You have the guys, not as prevalent anymore, but back in 2005 and 2006, that were claiming they read the game and 6 months later they mastered the art of attracting women and they threw up a website, and I'm going to turn you into a master in 6 months too. I don't even use the term mastery. I've been in the game for 19 years. I've been coaching for 15, working with mystery now for 8 years. I will never call myself a master. If somebody else wants to call me a master, they can. Mystery has called me a master, but I mastery is such an elusive topic, elusive term. So yeah, you have to be willing to stay in the game until you gain proficiency or until you meet that woman that you want to meet, and then you're out. You have to believe that it's obtainable. It's like people that, because if you don't believe that you can gain proficiency, you probably won't. It's like people that believe they can't stacked against me. The Federal Reserve controls interest rates. The hill is too steep. I'll never be financially free. If you don't believe you'll be financially free, you probably won't. And if you don't believe that you'll gain proficiency in the dating game over a long enough time horizon, you probably won't. You won't take the consistent action every day that it takes to get better and either gain proficiency and manifest the love life that you desire, or manifest that ideal partner. Find that ideal partner for you.
– I'd like to add one too, if that's all right. I just wanted to add quickly, and this is kind of going right off of what you're saying, but facing the mirror the other way, is how guys, a really poor mindset I see is guys objectifying women and sort of degrading women, or or sort of creating an aura of shame around the female reaction to them, or even to their successes, right? Where it's like, well, she was a slut and that's why it worked. Or, well, that girl doesn't didn't give me the time of day and it's her fault because she is XYZ shallow or something.
Bro, if she's a slut and she won't go out with you, then what does that say about you? Dude gets so mad when I say this shit. Right. You just called a girl on my show a slut and she would never fuck you. So what does that say about you, pimp?
Yeah, right, exactly. And sort of like, but I think for most guys though, Michael, it's like they have this language of just hatred towards women. And I don't mean to say most guys, but most guys that I interact with who have really, really poor mindsets, it's this sort of like, it's almost out of trauma or something, this language of like hatred towards women, or fear that they're going to ruin their life in that moment or something. And so I think it goes back to what we talked about at the very onset of this self-actualization, right? Where it's like, well, if you're the type of guy, and it's been brought up many times about the dopamine centers of the brain and all these different things we really want to get a hold of to have a empathy or have a curiosity or have an engagement. And so, I mean, it hasn't been said yet, but like removing yourself from some of these, like, from some of these terrible, like utilizing pornography and things, like, when you remove yourself far enough from that world, it's so much easier then to look at a woman as not like a piece of meat, or as not like a means to an end. And so I think a lot of my clients, when they come to me, they think, because I do like to teach a very direct game, they come to me with this idea that I'll just get them laid. And so a lot of that's already been spoken about, but just to sort of, let's begin to really humanize the other person. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of this has already been said, right? But it can't get lost. We can't just lose that in the teaching.
You guys want a really great game tip? Get these right here. Titan energy cookies. My buddy makes these. They're chocolate chip cookies with 200 milligrams of caffeine. So some girl comes back over to your place and she's like, oh, you can tell they're like fading. Like, here, have a cookie. They eat this motherfucker and they're like, yeah, let's fucking go. Let's go lift weights. These things are incredible. I do, before I give a speech, I eat one of these things. They're incredible.
Oh my God, I
No,
gotta have some of those.
what was I going to say? What were we just talking about? What was the question?
Poor mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't let the, I have this saying, I tell my guys, don't, like, you call them hoes. I don't call them hoes, but like, don't let the hoes bother you. It's like, if women are like, I agree that they're not accountable. I agree on all this stuff, but you're not going to make porn go away. You're not going to, 60% of college enrollees are women. That's not going to change. Women are going to make more money. None of this shit is going to change. Cardi B is not illegal. Megan Thee Stallion's not going to be made illegal. None of this shit is going to change. You need to live in the OnlyFans is not going away. They made $6 billion in revenue last year. So what you got to do is say, women are like puppies. Like when puppies shit on the floor, you don't go, hey, let's go ahead and create legislation to end this puppy shitting on the floor. Let's go ahead on YouTube and just blame puppies for every. No, they're puppies. Just stop letting the puppy. You don't let the puppies bother you. They're puppies. They don't know what they're doing. I just tell my guy friends, like, don't let the girls bother you. Don't let the hoes bother you. And just understand that. You think about fucking Hank Moody in Californication. He knew that the women were unaccountable. He just didn't let them bother him. Think about Harvey Specter in Suits. He just doesn't let them. He's like, dude, people do stupid shit. Just don't let it bother you. Just be ambivalent. But the main thing you need to remember is if she's a slut and she didn't sleep with you, that means you're a loser. So stop calling her a slut. That's the whole thing. It's just a cope that you have, a coping mechanism that you have for why you're not dealing with what you're dealing with. And stop saying that girls that like get a bunch of followers on social media are like ugly because they have lips or tits done. No, that's not the thing. The reason why you're saying that is you're trying to protect yourself because you know that woman would not piss on you if you were on fire. That's the reason why. And so that's what, then the best way to fix that, like I said before, we're all average looking dudes. None of us are male models. The way to fix that is to have a beautiful woman with you. You have a beautiful woman with you, it fixes everything.
Yo, Michael, you said that you don't use the word hoe, right? Like,
Yeah.
so, and that's interesting because when I first started to get really good at game, I had this notion of I should stop altogether using words like bitch, hoe. I don't know. Again, maybe I'm gonna break two
I've
outside.
never used those words. I've never called a
Yeah,
woman a bitch or a
exactly.
hoe myself ever.
Right,
Never once.
exactly. Exactly. So I think a lot of the times if guys can just immediately remove language that's like detrimental to building like that creates an objectification, right? Then that's yeah, so in any
Uh,
community we should be like nipping that in the butt.